you hear me? How's everybody doing tonight? There we go. Welcome to Paranormal Round Table, guys. How you doing today? It's Tuesday. We always do this on Tuesday. Glad everybody's in the chat. We got 83 people so far. We'll get some more people in here, get it going. Talk about some different things. I don't know what Anthony named this one, but we're going to talk about some ghost stories, or we're going to talk about some Dogman. We have a guest coming on later tonight. He's going to talk about some stuff too. I haven't really decided how we're going to do Tuesdays. It's just kind of just shoot from the hip, but I'm going to try and get guests on pretty regularly on Tuesdays. Remember, Josh Turner at Paranormal Round at prtpodcast.com. Josh Turner at prtpodcast.com. That's my email address. You want to send me your stories, send them to me. If you got me on Facebook, you can send them to me on Messenger. It's whatever. However you can get them to me. Some people have my own personal information, whatever, send it to me, however you want to send it to me. I'm even getting them through Instagram now. I'm Josh Turner 940 on Instagram. If you want to be my friend on Instagram, follow me on Instagram, Josh Turner 940 on Instagram. How's everybody liking the Friday episode with Vault? That was probably, to me, that was the least entertaining one. We get into his Dogman encounter, which is pretty crazy. Which is this coming Friday. This coming Friday, the Dogman encounter that Vault had with two of his friends, and then the following Friday we do Dogman Bigfoot kind of together. So it gets pretty interesting. We hit 7.2 thousand subscribers. That's good. Facebook's still playing games. Stop playing games, yo. About them numbers you faking. Stop playing games, yo. About that money you making. Facebook, I wish I could give you the pimp hand, dude, so bad. It's whatever, man. Whatever you want to believe, dude. And just so you know, everything the media says is absolutely the truth. I mean, they're the media, dude. What reason do they have to lie? Everything is as it seems. The whole world. If you buy that, I'll throw the Golden Gate in for free. Teresa Lees, thank you for that $30 donation. That's amazing. You just jumped right out of the gate. I was just about to come out and start begging for money. No, I'm just kidding. Folks, I don't ask. You give. That's great. I appreciate it. But it does help support the show. The Patreon members support the show. The donations on here support the show. It all helps support the show, and it helps, we just had to recently raise our rates on our security business, which is just, it's hard. You have to go and tell your clients we need more money because inflation is through the roof, which it was already headed there before the war, and now the war is just going to, it's going to Good luck paying $6 for a loaf of bread, $5 for eggs. So please like and subscribe, everybody. Hit that like button and subscribe. We're gonna talk some interesting stuff tonight, dude. I'm not gonna waste a bunch of time here. I'm gonna get the Patreon going here, and we're gonna do this. Vulcan Death Grip, David Allman, Christy, Shonda Hardinger, Brady, Matt Sanaga, Cyril, David Vigil, Fat Squatch, Sonia Girding, Dorothy Metcalf, fellow Austinite, Mimi Piccolelli, Polly G, Melissa Kuhlman, Pauline Rome, Joanne L. Hartnett, Mary Plyler, Stephen Hall, Miguel Guerra, Eric Garcia, Ryan, Tim Lewis, Super Hornet 1, Debbie Wolf, Extreme Reality Check, who recently she has a podcast too and got in touch with me, and I believe I'm going to be going on that show. But she just bought a lot of merchandise, so thank you for that. That's really, really supports the show. James Estrada, my man. He's one of our moderators. Tim Bernard, Ricardo Herrera, Titan, Dead Man Walking, Russell Nash, Guy, Melissa Panay, Derek Tribble, Dick Richards, Joyce Burnett, Barbara Blindy, Martin Hertel, Terry Fiesler, Chris Cuff, Curtis Turner, Philip Morn, Alexander Murphy, Matthew Durgo, and Barry Winfield. Those are our $10 tier that literally help us to produce the show. That literally helps produce the show. James, thank you for that donation. It says, Terror in the Woods is a much better title than These Woods Are Haunted. The show isn't just about ghost encounters. No, it's not. In fact, not to brag, but a lot of the witnesses from season 3 are people that I sent to them. So they've used some of my witnesses on their show. And I believe there was another one of the stories that I told that I was on another show not too long ago, but that was a ghost type encounter, which we're going to get into a little bit of that today. We're going to talk about some ghost stuff. We're going to talk about some Dogman stuff. I'm going to try and see if we have time because I got to make this phone call and get this person on there that everybody wants to hear from, I'm sure. Trying to find a good time to get certain guests on to talk about their Dogman encounters and their ghost encounters, their terrifying Bigfoot encounters. I've got some really scary Bigfoot stuff lately. I don't know what's going on, dude. I don't know if they're just mad because we're talking about them or because everybody has a Bigfoot sticker on their vehicle now. They're angry, but they are doing some stuff, man. I'm telling you. It's getting spooky. It's getting spooky, dude. I got 2 encounters with Bigfoot I'm not going to get into tonight, but one was in Arizona near Phoenix, near a subdivision, and then the other one was right here in Central Texas, and they sounded almost identical, which was weird. I was talking to my team. We're like, what the heck's going on with Bigfoot? Why is Bigfoot so angry? Somebody's out there stealing his jerky. He's just kicking in stuff and going nuts. And I'm trying to find this. I got to look it up so I can get started here. I'm not going to waste much time. I just got to find it. It's in my wife's message. My sweet wife. Let's see. There it is. And only 2 of these. Anyways, I got one from a police officer. He used to be a police officer in Baltimore. So you can only imagine. Met him through his son and his nephew when I was out and about here in Austin. They said our uncle used to be a police officer, and he has he has some crazy stories. So I got in touch with this guy a couple months back, and it was pretty weird. It was pretty weird. This guy's had 2 really weird encounters. So anyway, we'll get started with those. I don't know, and I'm gonna tell some stories, and I'm gonna talk about a contrast between the spirit and the flesh. And this thing is driving me nuts. I don't like the way this looks. There it goes. So I wanted to talk about some things because there's so much debate, and even between me and Jay Tucker when he was on the show, talking about Bigfoot and Dogman being not looking the way everybody thinks they're going to look, and some of them being spiritual and some of them being physical, some of them being something in between. We don't really know what we're dealing with. We think we have a handle on it, and then something happens, and it just keeps, But this guy was a police officer in Baltimore, and two things happened to him. And he said that, in his life, he's of Dominican descent on his mother's side, and his dad was African American. So he has sort of a grasp on he understands a little, you know what I mean? Like his dad originally was from Louisiana, and he had moved up there to get a job, whatever. And this guy's a retired police. He's an older gentleman now, and he gave me the 411 on his story. Years ago, he responded to a shooting, and he got to the location where he was told to be, him and his partner, and they get out of their vehicle. And this man comes running up, and he says, hey, there's been a shooting. There's a guy down the street. He's got a gun. He's shooting people. He's, whatever. And he looked right at the guy. He said he remembers the guy's face, and the guy was just like holding his chest. He's like, "Are you okay?" He goes, "I'm fine, but this guy's shooting people. You got to get down there." And this guy had literally shot two people. When him and his partner, they go and they run. The other guy, they see him, they turn around, they look back, and then he I guess had laid down against the wall. He didn't see him. He just saw a person sitting on the wall, so he thought, well, okay, I guess that guy, he's not hurt. He's obviously just tired, holding his chest for whatever reason. And so they ran down the street, and by this point, the guy had turned the gun on himself. But not until two people had been injured. One was in a vehicle. And what was so weird about it was the guy that had gone and yelled and got their attention and said, "Hey, it's down here on this next street, in the next block." That guy they called the EMS, the ambulance was on the way, whatever. And so what ended up happening, by the time they got the guy into the ambulance, he was deceased. So what the heck was going on? He was unconscious, but he still had a pulse, and he had a sucking chest wound. He was dead. This guy he had tried to get out of his car. This dude was trying to hit another person, and he shot that guy, and the guy fell back into his car and slumped over. And it was the same guy that was running down the street to get their attention. When he told me that, it gave me chills. I'm going like, I've heard stories like this before. This is not a first for me. I had some police officers out of Houston tell me just a chilling, bone-chilling story. I had met them through a friend of my sister's at a birthday party, and one was a former cop. And he started talking, and he said, "I got a guy that could tell you a crazy story." And eventually I got around to talking to the guy, and it was crazy. I don't know if I'm sure I've told this story before, but I'm going to tell you in reference to this one here. Hey, are you going to be going to HEB? I mean, get something to eat? Probably. Okay, because we're going to go afterwards. We're going to eat, but if you're I'll just wait till afterwards. Okay. Because if you're gonna go, I need something from HEB. I'm out of my dries. It's a low sugar soda that doesn't have an aftertaste. It's really good. This is what this guy told me. This is in Houston. Okay, and this was near the Houston campus, Houston University of Houston campus, which is not a really good area. It's like, but it's weird. It's like there's college kids there, and then there's the hood. And this happened like 20 years ago, and this guy, he told me a crazy story that him and his partner had showed up. They responded to shots fired in an apartment. The neighbors heard bang, bang. They called the police. They said there were 2 shots. So they go to the door. First thing they did was knock on the door. Hey, police, Of course, they have to have their, because they're answering this call. Finally, they hear this boom, 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 kind of banging around, and then somebody opens the door. It's this young kid, just an innocuous-looking normal kid. He was like, probably 20 years old, and he said, "Oh, okay." And he just turned around, and they said, "Are you okay?" And he didn't answer. He just walked down the hall and went into his room, and so they were like, "Okay," and he was acting kind of weird. Very suspicious. So they slowly made their way to the room. They said, "Sir," and they're trying to get his attention, and they're doing everything they're supposed to be doing, following the protocol, whatever. They get into the hallway, and then they look into the room, and the guy's laying on the bed, deceased. And it looked like he had shot himself. Weird thing is, first thing he did, I guess, was shot himself in the chest, and I guess that didn't kill him immediately, so he went ahead and did whatever he did, he committed suicide. It's a very tragic, very sad thing, a young person doing that. And this happened years ago, 2-3 decades, whatever. The gentleman's 10 years older than me. He told me this story almost 10 years ago. Do the math. I mean, he told me a long time ago. But it stuck with him. I mean, it was like, we were at a birthday party, and this guy said, "Hey, I got this guy, I'll tell you this story." And it was just, the first guy told me the story but didn't give me just said it was a weird story. So when I talked to this guy, he was like, "I'll tell you." That guy that was laying on the bed, deceased, was the guy that answered the door. This guy did not have any wounds on him, nothing. Does my sound good? Lene Perkins says, "Love and prayers for all our paratroopers." Thank you for that, paratroopers. I thank you so much. And thanks. It's a cool name, And thank you, Lene, for that. There was some misunderstanding in the chat last week. I think that somebody thought that Lene was being rude or something, and she wasn't. But anyway, this person that answered the door was deceased. The call had come in, 20 minutes or whatever it was. The response time took, I think he said it was like 22 minutes or something. They were, and they responded to the shots because they were on another call, and, it took them a little bit longer. And obviously this person, they didn't hear anybody go into the bedroom and fire shots. And there had only been 2 bullets that were discharged from the weapon, from the firearm. They checked the magazine. There were 2 men missing. So what was that? Who was that? The guy answered the door and was more than likely already deceased. Just like the individual in Baltimore that ran down the street holding his chest, and they thought, "Oh, he's just tired." Well, when they turned around in Baltimore, the situation in Baltimore, he turned around and he walked back toward his car. The guy when he thought the guy had sat down and was sitting there against the wall, was a homeless guy that was just sitting there. He called him a wino, but you know what I'm saying? Like somebody who obviously that wasn't the guy. So I asked him, I said, "Do you think there might have been a mistake?" He said, "Absolutely not. I looked this guy dead in his eyes. He goes, I perfectly got an image of this guy in my head. It was him, same shirt, and he was laying there slumped over in the car, but he was the guy that came running down the street and got us and said, 'Hey, it's down here. This guy's shooting.' And we asked him, 'Are you okay?' He's like, 'Yeah, my chest hurts. I'm just out of breath, whatever.'" He didn't see any wounds on the guy. But he turns around, and what he thought, the guy wasn't there, obviously, but what he thought was the guy sitting there turned out to be a homeless guy that was just intoxicated. But they did find the guy in his car because the dude was shooting from across the street, I guess, and and it was just a big mess. So he ended up wounding the person that he was trying to hit. Didn't even hit. He wounded the person next to him, and then ended up actually killing another person. So that's a horrible, tragic thing. But yeah, that's how do you explain that? You can't. There are no explanations for these things. And people always try to say, well, there's rational. Yeah, right. Rational all the way up your wazoo, because there's no way to rationalize that. Here's another one. The guy gave me 2 stories. He said, this is another one. He responded to a dog barking. It was thank you, Amy, for that donation. Thank you so much for you guys that donate. Thank you so much. Love PRT fam. I do too. Thank you, PRT fam. So here's another one he told me. And this one's not as dramatic, but it's still odd. And I think this guy has some sort of second sight or something, They responded to a dog that was barking, and it was incessantly barking. And it just wouldn't stop. And the neighbors were like, this is just constantly happening. And it's not a priority, especially in a city like Baltimore or Philly where you got like all kinds of stuff. I had a cop out of Newark and another one out of D.C. telling me some crazy stories that I'm going to eventually get into. I'm going to save those for a police episode. Thank you, Tamara, for that $10 donation. Appreciate it so much. And we'll get into that eventually. But this guy, what he told me, this is nuts. He knocks on this door. He had some downtime, and he goes, this guy's neighbor they just kept complaining about this dog. He walks up. He hears the dog barking. He knocks on the door. Guy answers the door. And he says, sir, I have a problem. You have a problem. Your dog is, thank you, Sir Paul, for that donation. For the fam and the brand, thank you so much. And don't forget, folks, we are going to do a giveaway tonight, too. The people who've been waiting this past week, I just had a bunch of stuff happen personal. I had to help my sister move. And it was, dude, I ended up hurting my arms and carrying a 400-pound fridge. I'm not joking. It was a nightmare. And so I ended up like having to take care of a bunch of junk, constantly having to work because people don't show up and don't do their job and whatever. So you will get your stuff. I know I owe 3 people some Lon Strickler books, and then there's going to be some people tonight in the chat, and we're going to choose. I'm going to try to get it all mailed out tomorrow, okay? You got my word. Okay, I'm a man of my word. I'm an honest man. I'm going to tell you right now. I might be a lot of things, but I try to keep my word. He knocks on the door to this guy's house. And he can hear the dog barking. Like, there's a dog barking. The guy opens the door. He has, one of those back screen you can see, and you can see straight through the house from the front to the back. And he said he has like a decent little it was a clean house, Shonda, thank you for that donation. I appreciate it. And thank you so much for everybody being so generous today, helping us out. And he said, dude, I could see straight through, and I clearly saw a Doberman in the backyard. And this guy goes, dog barking? He goes, yeah. He goes, I've heard a dog barking, but it must be the neighbors. It's not my dog. It can't be my dog. He goes, I don't have a dog. So he goes, oh, okay. You're one of those. He's like, sir, I can see your dog right there in the backyard. He said, just then the dog kind of went out of view. And he goes, can I come in? And he goes, go ahead, be my guest. So he lets him and his partner in. The partner goes around the back already and was already in the backyard. He says the dog's harmless, whatever. Guy tells him, my dog was harmless. Kind of an odd way to answer it. Guy says, okay. Takes it as like, the dog isn't going to hurt me. Okay. Goes to the back. He goes through the front. They get in the backyard. There's no dog. And he's like, I'm telling you, he goes, my dog died 3 months ago. And they get to the backyard and there's no dog. I mean, it's not a big yard. They look and there's a dog house. You could see the dog bowl. You could see toys and stuff, chewed up, whatever. His dog had gotten loose and gotten hit by a car 3 months before that. He'd end up on another street. And the neighbors were calling saying that his dog was barking. So they went to the neighbors on either side, and neither one of them had a dog. And they were like, are you sure it was that? They go, yeah, it's the Doberman Pinscher right next door. And this guy, this police officer, he's going like, I saw a Doberman Pinscher. He tells his partner, he goes, look, I'm not crazy. I saw a Doberman. I saw it. And the guy's like, can be. That's why I told you he wasn't a violent dog. He was harmless and was past tense. Sugar Britches, thank you for that donation. Funny name. Thank you, Sugar Britches. I don't know how to say that without laughing. Got my britches full of sugar. And then this one is Neurot. Thank you. It says, I knew a young woman back in the day who intuitively prevented a suicide. She also had an ex who killed a mini Dogman. Wow. Allegedly, of course. There are mini Dogman. Ask Linda Godfrey. I talked to her about that. It was a story she put in one of her books called The Half Pint Trail Runner. It's pretty crazy. And I've got a couple of my own. I'm hoping to get enough to try to maybe make an episode about these little ones, but I don't really have enough yet. But hope. Keep hope alive. Let's see here. This is about time to start putting my glasses on, folks. I'm not being over here pretending like I can see things. Ooh. Oh, much better. So, give me your comments. Tell me what you think of this. This is crazy, man. I don't know what to. I mean, I had a friend back in the day, okay, that told me and I caught up with him a few months ago on Facebook because he had COVID, and his wife was like, he's not doing well. He was hardly ever on Facebook, so I communicated him through his wife's Facebook, and we started talking. Kind of caught up. He's a mechanic now. He's a really good guy. And he don't do social media at all. He's real against it. But he told me, I asked him, I said, now I do a show about the paranormal, and you had told me a crazy story about your dog when you were a kid. Well, he had a dog that had died. It was a little weenie dog, a little dachshund. And he was real cool. And me and my wife were talking about it the other day. He would get loose, and we'd ride on our bikes, and he'd try to follow us, but his little legs were so small that he couldn't keep up, And so we'd have to turn around, we have to go back and put him away. Well, he passed away. He died. And he told me, he's like, I kept seeing him. Like, I kept seeing him. And it's weird because at our house now, a couple of the dogs that we had that had passed away, we've seen them. My dog, Miss Kitty. I don't know if any of y'all have been following me for how long y'all been following me, but my dog, Miss Kitty, she died in August of 2018. And then in August of 2019, I lost Sweet Pea, which was my mother's dog. And that really hurt my mom. My mom had to give her up, and I had to take care of her. And I wish my mom could have had a place to keep her, but just wasn't in the cards. But her and that dog were close. But he we've had some weird things. Like, my brother has seen them. I've seen them. My wife, my nephew. Had a friend come over, stayed for a few days, kind of hung around on my couch, and he could have swore that Miss Kitty had jumped on his lap. And, he drinks a lot. So, maybe, I don't know. I mean, it's really weird. I mean, Bowser was Anthony's dog. He was a little dachshund, and Anthony could have swore that he came to visit him. And it was right around that time that our friend that was taking care of him out in Jonestown actually said he had ran away, and there was a lot of coyotes that were killing dogs at that time, and maybe he didn't run away, maybe he got snatched up because he kept running out. That's what he would do. And so something might have happened to him around the time that Anthony, and it's a sad thing to think about, but anyway. Dogs passing sucks. Yes, it does, Sean, it does. One of the things I was going to say, though, about the whole dogs, this friend of mine, he said that he was like, he had a dream that him and his dog loved to go swim, even though he was a little dog, whatever. And he had a pool in the backyard, a little small pool, but not a kiddie pool, but they had a small swimming pool. And he was in the backyard and he was swimming with the dog, and he was dreaming it. But then he woke up, and for a split second, he saw his dog, and he literally, is the weirdest thing, he could never explain it. And when he sat up, he was wet. His whole body was like wet, like he had laid down, not like sweat, but like he was swimming. And the dog jumped off the bed, and he was like, "Oh, hey," and then the dog was gone. Dog's name was Ernie, or something like that. I think it was Ernie. And I was like, wow. That's pretty crazy. So, I don't know. Things happen. Pets pass away. I had an argument with one of my sisters, the one that stole my mom's life insurance, that one. She decided that dogs don't have souls. So when her dog, Austin, she named it Austin. She was living up in Vegas. He was a cool little dog, man. When I stayed up there with her in Vegas, he would hang out with me all day, but then when they would come home from work, then he would turn on me and act like I was an intruder and bark and growl at me. I was like, what the heck? Sounds just like Austin. Sounds neurotic, just like the city of Austin. Perfect name. But but he was a pretty cool dog. You could go bang and he'd roll over. I mean, like they had all kinds of stuff he could do. My friend Loki's dog is like that, Ladybird, and it says bang and she rolls over, and then he's like, okay, you're alive, and then she jumps up. Dogs are amazing. But when he told me that story, that was crazy. Like, I mean, like he's like, dude, I woke up, I was wet, like I had been in my swimming pool. I don't know what causes that. And then his dog was there, and then it was gone. And then when my dog Ivan, that was the dog I had, that was the closest to that dog. 15 years, almost 16 years for a Mastiff. I stopped walking him when he was about 9 because he got hip dysplasia, but I nursed him back to health. I rubbed his hips, and I gave him glucosamine, chondroitin, and MSM. And then I gave him hyaluronic acid, and I can't remember the other thing I gave him, omega-3. I crushed it up every day religiously, and I gave it to him in his dog food. And he lived a long time, but I had to make sure he didn't walk too much. But you got to give him exercise, but don't let him walk around too much. We had a couple younger dogs that he played with. I see you, Loki, Caleb. I see you in here in the chat. You remember Ivan very well. You house sat for me, and you had to feed him. That dog and me were very close, and I remember one day after he had passed, like I was sitting there petting him, and he jumped up on the bed, and I was like, Ivan, get off the bed. He's 120, 130 pounds, get off the bed. You're not supposed to be on the bed, and he just put his head down on me, and I was petting him. And I woke up, and I remember just like being half asleep, half awake, that inner, like on the threshold, state. And I was petting him, and I was like, whoa. And then he was gone, and I was like, dude, my dog's been gone for, months. So, yeah, it was very emotional. He stayed at my mom's in her big old backyard the last couple of years of his life, and I would just go over there every day. I was always over there. But I had my own place, but I would always go to my mom's and check on her and check on him, and he would take care of my mom, and I would be at her house, and I would see him, like, in the corner of my eye, like, what the heck? When she moved a couple years after he had passed. But, man, It's weird, and you can't explain these things. So anyway, that was that police officer. He gave me his stories. I wanted to get into something real quick. You remember last week, toward the end, if you didn't pay attention to the live stream last week, you got to go back and listen to the story at the end of the show. At the end of the show, I don't remember, the last 20 minutes or something, I don't know. Go back and look. But I did a story about a werewolf. Well, the guy called it a werewolf, Dogman, whatever. And it was just a torso. And so I have another one. It's very similar to that. This one was in this one happened in Arizona too. It happened in Tucson, or in I'm sorry, not Tucson, Sedona. It was in Sedona, and these people had moved into a house, and they lived. Believe it or not, they had lived in Roswell, in a haunted house. Imagine that, Roswell. It's got a very weird energy to it, that place, and so they moved to another city in New Mexico. I can't remember whatever. And eventually they moved to Arizona. And they ended up in Sedona. And they were living in a two-story, like I forgot what they call those houses, where there's like two-story townhomes, I think they're called. I believe she said it was like a townhome, and this was when she was like a youngster, like early teens, you know. And they saw this entity periodically in the house, and she didn't know if it was like something that had followed them from when they were living in Roswell, because they lived in a house that was haunted in Roswell. But when they were in Roswell, she saw this thing at the foot of the bed on more than one occasion, like a couple different times. And was convinced that it was a full-bodied apparition. It looked like a man. And was convinced that it was evil, like there was something really bad about it. And then one day she just started feeling that feeling when they were in Sedona. And she said, I couldn't shake that this thing felt evil, and it was like an oppressive presence. And she said that it was like, she felt the presence of this thing just like she did when she was younger and they were living in Roswell. But whatever the other city they lived in, I can't remember what other city it was, in New Mexico, she said that they did not have anything happen in that house that she remembers. Not even a weird dream or anything. So it was like she felt the same presence from the Roswell house that she did in Sedona. And those are some weird cities. I had a weird encounter with something in Roswell. Not in Sedona, but I did have a weird encounter in Buckeye, Arizona, in a haunted hotel. Because if something's there, 9 times out of 10, I'm going to know. I'm going to feel it. I might not see it. I'm going to feel it. So I had a weird experience there one time. But I get a lot of weird stories out of that area. Arizona's weird. But anyway, they're sitting there watching TV one day, watching some Disney cartoon, whatever. And I can't remember what she said she saw. It was like a very lighthearted, whatever, and everybody's laughing and watching, and her little sister, and they're watching, and they hear ba-boom, like right there at the foot of the bed. And then she turned around, and her mother saw it. And it was like a pair of a guy's legs, like in jeans, everything. Like you could see it, like they were Wrangler jeans. She said it was like boots. And it was nothing but the bottom half of the torso walking up the stairs. And they watched it walk all the way up the stairs. There was no top. And that was the only time she saw it. She said one time she was brushing her teeth in the bathroom. I think she said she was like 14 or 15. Her little sister started screaming, the legs. Her little sister was like 6 or 7. And her stepdad was like, what are you talking about? And then the stepdad yelled, and she heard all that. She turns, she looks right down the hallway, and they see these legs go into the room. Just the bottom half of a body. like I don't want to say disembodied because I don't know how to describe it. It's like just legs, just a pair of legs walking around in jeans. And she said, and I asked her, I said, the specter that you saw in the house in New Mexico, did it have jeans? And she said, yeah, it did. It was, a Hispanic looking guy, maybe native, not for sure. She couldn't say for sure. And she didn't know if it maybe was a relative because she's actually Hispanic, but she didn't know if it might have been somebody. Or she asked her mom. Her mom had seen it. And she said, no, it's nobody that I recognize. Because she did have a great uncle that stayed with him for a little while and then passed away after he went back to where he was from or whatever. And but she's like, it wasn't anybody like that we knew, And as far as I know, it didn't really do anything else. That was pretty much it. She saw it in the kitchen one time and she screamed and ran out. And then eventually they moved from that house. And then for whatever reason, when they left that house, then it stopped. It only happened. So it happened in one house, skipped the next house, and it happened in the next house, but then not the next house after that. So, I mean, having lived in a haunted house for years, I lived in a haunted house for 10 years. I mean, a haunted house. I'm not talking about, a little bit of chains rattling, ooh, something spooky. No, I'm talking about, dude, slap you on the back, do some crazy stuff, dude. Like, it was scary. I'm talking about big dudes that I lived with. Me and Willie and Squid, Jerome, Diablo, Scorpion. And everybody was freaking out and scared. We'd be at the club beating the heck out of people at a hip-hop club, but then we come home and we're scared to live in our house. Chief's come on the show, and he's talked about it. I know y'all know who that is. He's been on the show. Scorpion and D been on the show. Loki's been on the show. They've all talked about it. I've talked to Squid about it recently, about coming on, getting when he went South by Southwest right now, where every miscreant in the universe descends on Austin. So he can't come right now, but when that's over, hopefully I can get him on. I'm gonna try and get him on and talk about some of the weird things that happen. But yeah, it's hard to fathom or to understand if you haven't been through it. I mean, it's like it just really it messes with your psyche. You think, am I going crazy? Why am I seeing these things? Is this real? Blah, 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 I mean, I got a story, another one. This is another. I think I've already told this one too on the show, but just to reiterate if I haven't. And this person, they claim that a disembodied, I don't want to say disembodied because it is part of a body, but like an arm without a body. So just, I don't know how you say it, disembodied arm or something. He and somebody, Pete says, or Joshua says that is a massive for that age. No, he that when he was older, Josh, and I'll get back to the story in a minute. He was about 100 pounds. But at his prime, yeah, he was about 120, 125, I think, pushing 130. He was a big boy. His head was gigantic. Ivan was a big dude. That was a big dog. And he had literally, a guy tried to break into my house and lost his arm. He was across the street at the store with his arm torn up. Because he tried to break into a house where I had a German Shepherd and a Mastiff in my house that would kill you if you were not us. And you tried to break into the house, and this dummy did, and then he got deported. So you had to go back and tell your friends how you broke into a house and lost your arm. But anyway, this arm, maybe this was the guy's arm. Anyway, now this happened years ago, but this she was laying in bed, and if I remember this, and I don't have the notes in front of me, but I just remember this story, and this arm came through the ceiling And I remember if I read this story or somebody gave it to me, so folks don't quote me if I'm not exactly 100%, but I remember the arm going up and it woke this person up. It was a female, and it began to choke her. And it was just an arm. Just an arm. And then, of course, I think last week I got into talking about what the massage therapist had told me, how he had a hand that grabbed him on the couch and just held him there, and he was just freaking out, Really, really, really weird stuff. Yeah. So you tell me what you think, folks. I had a guy who owns a bar, and it is, I don't know if I should say it. I don't know if I should say his bar's name or not. I don't know because I didn't ask him for permission, but it's out in it's south of Austin, in a little town south of Austin. I don't know, because some people are like, hey, yeah, talk about the ghosts, and which I'm going to give a shout out to Alpine Haus. It's a German food place in New Braunfels. I talked to the owner, and they are completely cool with me talking about the ghosts there. I had a weird experience there. I've had 2 or 3 in that place. Every time I go in there, something happens. Delicious food. The best German food. I mean, it's right there in New Braunfels, which is a German town. I think everybody there is half Hispanic, half German. I'm not joking. It's crazy. But the stuff that goes on there, just really weird, because I've had some stuff happen to me. But there is a large number of stories of people seeing partial apparitions. I mean, it goes on and on and on and on. And I got this one story. Now, this one happened in upstate New York. I'm going to go ahead and tell this one. I think this one will be more interesting. And then we'll get into the one about the bar. Well, you know what? I can't make up my mind here. I'll tell you one about the bar. Let's do that one. This guy runs a bar, and him and his, who's now his girlfriend, they were at the time just an employee, and they were working together a lot, and she was his main bartender. And he's sort of a friend of a friend. Unfortunately, I had to get reacquainted with him under bad circumstances when a friend of ours had passed away. And so I went to this sort of memorial service at, it was like an after service or whatever. And so we were down in south of Austin. And he began to tell me about, and his girlfriend was there. She wasn't his girlfriend at the time. She was an employee. She'd only been working a couple of weeks. And while she was working, sometimes she would feel like somebody would grab her from behind. And she would look in the mirror, and there's nobody there. There's like a mirror on one side and in the other. And one day, something grabs her by her hips, and she's literally trying to get away. And she's like, what the heck? She thinks there's really somebody there. She looks down, and she sees these big hands. And she said it was gross, like dirty fingernails. I mean, it was nasty. The guy had gnarly hands, whoever it was. This ghost needed to go wash his hands. Okay? So she was like, oh, my gosh. And then my friend, I'll call him P, saw that and was like, whoa, what the heck? And he looked in the mirror and he saw this weird. Okay, now this is what he said. He said that the face looked like it was like it had a greenish rotted, like if it was like a zombie looking thing. I was going to talk about this one on a zombie episode. Maybe I'll throw that one on the podcast too, but I said it had like a greenish face and the eyes were all sunken in and the flesh was like coming down off of it. It looked gross, like it was horrible, like a corpse. And all she saw was the hands. And then she looked up and then she saw like an image kind of go behind her. And then she broke free and they were like, whoa. And so they were the last 2 people in the bar. They closed the bar and then they took off. And like I said, I didn't, we were there to pay respects to a friend. So I didn't go, hey, man, let me use that on the show, blah, blah, blah. We just kind of talked about it, and then we began to talk about other things because that wasn't about me and the show and all that. It was about, So I don't know if I have permission to use his, just like out in the Devil's Backbone, I got some crazy ghost stories. I need to ask permission from those people from the bar if I can use the name of their place. Because sometimes people don't want that. They really don't. They don't want people going, oh, I'm scared. At Alpine Haus in New Braunfels, one of the waitresses is scared to death. I mean, this poor lady is actually scared. A couple of the waiters and waitresses are just kind of like, it's creepy. I don't like being here. There's not many people here, whatever. One of the ladies says, she's like, it's weird, but she can deal with it. But then you got, some people that they're terrified of it. And so you have customers too that like that place is haunted. I don't want to go there. I don't want to be there. Like we were literally at the and I don't want to butcher I'll tell you the name of this place is San Antonio. San Antonio is so haunted. If you're into ghosts, go to San Antonio. I'm not joking. You'll probably run into one. And if you go to South San Antonio, you'll probably run into a Bigfoot or a Dogman. I'm not joking. It is really like that. I did the show with Paranormal Expeditions in October. He's a police officer in South San Antonio, Bexar County. And he has all kinds of stuff that goes on. John Villafranca, thank you so much for that donation. I appreciate it so much tonight. Guys, you're really helping us. Hey, Anthony and Nelly, they're taking inventory. Hey, let me ask you a question. What was the name of that haunted hotel that we stayed at by accident in San Antonio? And Nelly was like, this place used to be a hospital. People died here. And she thought I did it on purpose because, my show. And I'm like, I do all this, whatever. She thought I did it on purpose. Like I booked it there on purpose. It was back in like 2019 or something. I was like, no, I didn't do this on purpose. And Armando, when he was still alive, he goes, dude, you had to have known that that's what that was. I didn't know.
Emily something.
Emily Morgan?
I think it was Emily Morgan.
Look it up. I don't want to get it wrong. But it was Emily Morgan. And remember the phone kept turning and the water came. It was weird. And I was in there by myself at one point, and my wife had gone downstairs to get something from the bar or something soda, some drinks, something. And he was outside running around out there by the square, whatever. It's right across the street from the Alamo. Somebody said the Manger. Yeah, the Manger. The Manger is very haunted too. I've been in there, but I haven't had experiences there. But I know people who have. The Gunter. Yeah, there you go. These people know what I'm talking about. San Antonio's weird stuff down in San Antonio, man. I've had some stuff make my skin crawl. I'm not joking, man. So I'm in there, and the phone rings, and I go to answer it, and the phone's off the hook. And I'm like, what the heck? But, there's all these buttons and stuff, so I thought maybe, trying to rationalize it. I didn't want to tell my wife because she was all freaking out, Yeah, and every time we come in, the phone would be turned, like, and off the hook and stuff, and it was just so weird. I was like this, and we found out that it was the second most haunted hotel behind the Stanley. It was ranked that by USA Today poll. I could give you an entire show just based on San Antonio and some of the stuff that's happened to me and the other people down there. The Buckhorn Museum, I had something weird happen. I thought I saw some. I was up there by myself on the top floor. And I'm not even going to get into what the Buckhorn is. The Buckhorn is an amazing place. If you've never experienced it, it's hard to explain. You just have to go and check it out. The San Antonio should be a destination for everybody. San Antonio, Fort Worth, Austin. You got to check them out. Houston and Dallas. I mean, I don't know. I mean, Houston and Dallas are not. I mean, I have a lot of friends in those cities, but there's not a whole lot to do. I mean, they have a lot of sports and stuff like that, but it's like you don't really seem. It's like, but Fort Worth is cool. Got a lot of cool stuff, man. Billy Bob's is freaking awesome. It's a really cool place. The Stockyards is haunted. I've had weird stories come out of there. I interviewed a bunch of people down there. John Villafranca, thank you for that. Thank you for that donation. I appreciate it so much, man. Thank you so much. John's over here helping out, man. I appreciate it so much, guys. But I could do just show after show on haunted Texas And I just bought like 2 or 3 books. I saw some books. I don't even know who the authors were. I just grabbed them. Just read them and see what I can find. I was standing in line somewhere the other day. I don't even remember where I was at. And but it was just story after story after story of haunted stuff in Texas. And Dorothy, I got your attention. Dorothy, don't let me forget. I owe you some swag. We have to get together. We have to get together. You live here in Austin. I can give me your shirt size. Message me on Messenger so I can get it to you, and I can hook you up. But the season's about to end. My wife is, as we speak, doing inventory on the hoodies, and we're gonna start giving some away, and then we're just gonna have shirts because the summertime's coming, yo. Spring and summer. Yeah, Houston has. Yeah, he says here. Narat says Houston has an amazing private zoo aquarium. So does Dallas. They have a few things. They have that big tower. I forgot what it's called. But nothing like San Antonio. And I don't think they hold a candle to San Antonio or Fort Worth. You okay? You okay, Nelly? You want to say hi? Okay, you're not going to speak. You're going to act like you can't talk. Yeah, you've been busy, Dorothy? Yeah, me too. We've been super freaking busy. People missing work left and right. People missing work for no reason. But yeah, there's so many stories I could tell. I could go on and on and on, about this. But yeah, that was the story of the bar. And then I had another one that I'm just going to have to save. I'm going to write that one down. We'll do it next week because that's a good one. This other one happened up in upstate New York. It involves a goat-like creature. I'm always down to hear some goat man stories. Yeah, Lene says that. Come on, guys, hit the like button. Let's do this. If you hit the like button, we get more people. We can, we get more listeners, and then we can do more. There's just so much we can do, and maybe I can start spending more time doing this instead of having to depend on people to go to work. Goat man is quite rare. No, it's not. I have to respectfully disagree with that. I get plenty of goat man stories. All you got to do. I tell you what's really weird is the centaur stories. In the whole time I've done this, I've only got 4, I think. And minotaur stories. I've gotten 2 stories about something with bull horns. That could also be, though, a goat man type story, because some of these goat man stories are also ram horns, and then the ones off of William Cannon here in Austin. I got stories that people tell us. That looks almost like a dog man with horns. And I get into it a little bit with Vault, I think, on this coming episode on Friday. Mountain giants. Okay, that kind of bleeds into the whole Genosqua that me and Ryan talked about. The whole I wish we had those episodes. The sound would have been good, and we could have dropped them on PRT because the sound was great shows, but the sound was terrible. And it was on A Whisper to a Scream. It was on his show. But the Genosqua, the Stone Giants, and Ryan does a really good job on that episode on his show of explaining what that is. Because I didn't really know exactly. He did a lot of research on that. And then you go from Stone Giants, you got the Gugwi, which me and Vault talk about too. And it's like this weird Dogman, Bigfoot hybrid type thing. I don't know. So, anyways, I got a couple stories though that were just like ram horn looking, and then goat horn looking, and then some of them look like they have a person's face with a goat man's body, which is more of a satyr, and then you get the goat man with the upper body. In particular, Purgatory Road out there. Devil's Backbone again, another very haunted place, like I said. And then I got one out of the Sam Houston forest. That somebody was chased by a goat man. I just got that one about 2 weeks ago. I got a catalog and booked that one down, but it's tax time and I got to be doing that. So don't have as much time to catalog these stories that keep coming in. I do a lot of investigating with people. Not always on location, but I have gotten to where we do go out and do a lot more, and I correspond with a lot of different people. A lot of different people. In any given week, I probably talk to 2 or 3 people that you probably see on TV all the time, and definitely talk to different people on the radio. I talk to people on, I can't keep track. And then sometimes I'll get a story and I'll go over it with somebody, and then we've already gotten another one, and then they kind of run together. So you got to keep track of them all. But anyways, like I said, if you're in San Antonio, make a phone call here. You got to go check out the Emily Morgan Hotel or the Manger or any of those other places. They're all pretty much haunted. It's pretty. Right now, though, I'm going to call a friend that a lot of you probably know who this guy. You'll know who he is when I make this call. See if we can get him on the phone here. See if he'll answer.
Oh.
Hey.
Oh, man.
Can you hear me?
Can you?
You're kind of cutting out there, brother.
It's not.
I'm hearing every other word. Let me try it again.
Call.
Let me try this again. We'll get it here.
Hear me?
I can hear you right now. Let's see. Say some things.
All right.
Man.
Roll.
It's really, really, it's cutting out real bad. I don't know why.
Let's talk. Bill.
Jeez. I don't know if there's something we can do to fix the audio. Anthony, what do we do? It's on his end, huh? Nothing we can do, huh? We could try it again.
God.
Man, your audio is cutting out real bad, brother.
I won't. Different.
Okay, let me try calling you from my phone and just putting you through the audio.
Okay.
Hold on. Let me folks, you're gonna want to hear this. So let me. Can we hook this up to the to your phone? There's no way to hook the phone up to make the call. Let's see if I got it here. Hello? No, it's not getting any better. Yeah, dang it. The only thing I could do is maybe try to call him and put up to the speaker. That's all I can do. I mean, because otherwise unless you want to hook your phone up to it.
We'd have to stop the show.
We can't stop the show. We'll see if I can do this. Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't know what was going on with that. Folks at home, go ahead.
Yeah, Are you calling? You're just calling me on the phone, huh?
Yeah, I'm
Phone
just
number?
calling you on the phone now because it wouldn't work through Messenger.
That's weird.
Yeah, it was just going bloop, bloop. But you remember when we recorded together, we we had that weird we recorded an entire hour and then it didn't record. Remember that?
Don't remind me.
That was so, folks, this is Tony Merkel, and if anybody didn't know, famous Tony Merkel of the Confessionals, very, very good show that everybody really likes. And Tony and me did a show back in October. He's going to come on my show real soon, but I was on his show, and we recorded for like an hour, and then it didn't record. Like there was something wrong, and we had all kinds of weird stuff going on with the. I don't remember what the reasoning was. Did you ever figure out what was going on with that?
No, I don't even remember what happened. I don't remember. But all I remember is I was incredibly irritated that we wasted an hour and we had to read. I hate redoing things like that. So.
We did it though. We did it. We redid it, and it was just sometimes it just this works out that way. So Tony, the reason for the phone call, and I wanted to ask you, you have a project going.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So can everybody at home give me a thumbs up, guys, if y'all can hear Tony, to make sure, because it's a little unorthodox the way I'm doing this, but Facebook Messenger wants to be a little turd, so we're going to have to do it like this. So let me make sure that everybody can hear you. So say something, Tony.
My name's Tony Merkel, host of the Confessionals podcast, and we try our best over here.
Let's see here.
I went live on my Instagram this evening, and I was giving rays of, well, it wasn't sunshine. I was basically giving some doom and gloom talk to my people over there. So I'm ready to give you the positivity now. I got all the doom and gloom out of my system. But you had me almost going there with the tax stuff. When you brought up the tax time, I was like, crap. Now it put me in a bad mood again.
Yeah, and unfortunately, more money, more problems. So it does cause it. Yeah, and so
it was so much more simple when I just had AW2 to take to H&R Block. You know?
Yeah,
it was so easy.
Yeah.
You know, and then I had this idea of being an entrepreneur, and everything went to hell then, you know?
Well, you know, and I honestly think that we're targeted, too. I mean, that's just my opinion. I think that, you know, they don't, like, small businesses, get out of here. You know, you're not a corporation.
Josh, now that's conspiracy.
I'm not going to get too far into it. We've talked. We know how me and Tony have had some long talks. Believe me, we can both talk. So, yeah. Tony, I wanted you to come on the show. You talk. Now tell the folks what you got going on with this Dogman thing.
Yeah, so we did an episode last year. I think it was in June or July, episode 335, Dog versus Dogman. It was a pretty legendary episode. And we had Kyle come on the show, and he shared his experience of being chased by this dogman one night when he was hunting in the woods of Kentucky. And he survived, obviously, to tell the tale. And so it was such a dramatic story that I decided to ask him on the show while we were recording if he would actually show me where this happened if I came to Kentucky. And he said yes. And he had never been back to that location since he was 15 when it happened. He had never gone back. And he was more than willing to take me out there. He told me that I needed to bring an army with me. So I assembled a team. And in October, we went to the Daniel Boone National Forest to hunt the Dogman for a week. And we made a documentary out of it. And the VIP premiere drops this Friday on my media company website, Merkel.media. No .com, just Merkel.media. And if you don't want to be a VIP, that's fine. On March 25th will be the public release on the YouTube channel for the Confessionals, where we'll be dropping it live right there on the Confessionals.
Yeah, and so give us a teaser. Like what can we expect?
Well, we killed about 10 dogmen, 3 Bigfoot, and I think we got a leprechaun in there too.
Well, quite the haul.
Yeah, you know, when I go out to do something, I do it right.
No half
So
measures.
right. So I didn't go down there. Like, all right. So leading up to the trip, I'd talk about it on the show, and I would say, like, I say things in my show tongue in cheek. You know, I think some people really believe me when I say certain things, self-deprecating things. I don't really think I'm completely stupid, just a little stupid. But when I was talking about it on the show leading up to it, I was saying things like, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna catch a dog man, or I'm gonna go kill a dog man and bring it home in my truck or whatever. And people really thought I believed I was gonna do that, and they were just like, you know, it's not that easy. I'm like, I know it's not that easy. I'm just kidding around, you know, like. And so I didn't go down there expecting to have any experience. And so I told my team, I told Kyle when we got down there, like, we are here to have an experience of the moment. We're going to do the best we can to see what we can draw out, but we're not expecting anything. We're just coming down here to document what it's like being in the woods for a week, hunting a dog man. That's it. Whether we have an experience or not, we're just documenting the journey of the moment, if that makes sense. And so we went down there, and we spent the entire week scouting areas. And so the first day we were there, Kyle took us. Now, Kyle had 2 encounters in the Daniel Boone. The first one was terrifying. The second one was just like a passerby. He caught a glimpse of it as it was crossing the road, kind of thing. He took us to the second location the first day, and when we were walking down through the woods, I was talking, and the film crew was filming, and I think, Kyle was leading the way, and I forget what I was talking about, but I remember it just like jolted me, because all of a sudden we heard something crashing through the woods and a tree fall down, and I was just like, what the heck was that? And you kind of see me on film just kind of like stare off in the distance, like, oh, it's getting real now. And literally, I would say probably about maybe 5, 10, 15 minutes max after that experience, which, you know, could have been just a tree falling down or whatever, we found a very large print. This thing was basically, I'm 6 feet, and my hand could fit in this print, and it was a canine print. Well, let me back up and say this. It was either a very large dog or a very large cat. I mean, very large cat. Now Kyle was taking us around, and he's an experienced tracker. Like, in that area, people will call Kyle in to track different things. I mean, he's known for tracking. And when he found this print, he's like, this is either a very large cat or a very large dog, but either way, it doesn't seem natural. And so that was the first day there. That's on video. We caught that and everything. Obviously, the print wasn't going anywhere. And so we just carried on and kept investigating, and he showed us around. And the next few days, we kept on going into the woods. Let me see here. So how do I I'm trying to think about how to say this, because this is actually the first time I've actually talked about this out loud to an audience. So the one day we went down into the woods, and the whole goal of this trip was to get to the location where this attack happened. That's what we wanted to do, and then go from there. We got to the spot where the gate was supposed to be open, that we could drive our trucks down this trail for about, I think it was about 5-6 miles, and to where the truck was supposed to be able to be parked, and we go into the woods, hike about 30 minutes to this location. Well, the gate was closed, and so we had to hike into this location, and Kyle was very nervous about this. For one, Kyle told us he is not going to be out there at night. So we knew that going in, we knew that going down. Kyle was not going to do this at night. So right there, we're on a time crunch, time schedule, and now that the gate was closed and we couldn't drive our trucks, my truck, like miles into the Daniel Boone, we had to hike in. And so we had to keep that in mind because we also had to hike back out before the sun went down so Kyle could get out of the woods because it's not happening. So at one point we went down this one fork because Kyle said that he believed there was like a water tank down there where the government put like these little man-made ponds in the middle of the woods to feed the animals so they don't come into this big lake where the hunters are and basically get all hunted out. And so we get to this one part and things got really bizarre, man. Things got really bizarre. The main thing that really got crazy and went down, I am going to save for the documentary, but I will tell you this. Me and Kyle were going up the hillside. We were hiking up this hillside to go look for this water tank in the woods. And I left my team down on the trail. And that broke the first rule we laid out. And we broke this rule twice in about an hour or two span of time. We got to get better at following our own rules. We said that we weren't going to split up. Under no circumstances were we going to split up. And we split up there. And so me and Kyle were going up this hillside, and we were probably, 20, 30, 40 feet up the hill. And all of a sudden my team is yelling, "Get back down here, get back down here." So we go back down, and what happened there was I would say that what they experienced was very paranormal, but also very physical. So you said to me, I think it was on my show when you were on my show, we were talking about Dogman, and you brought up the whole idea of metaphysical Dogman.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever those guys experienced, it was metaphysical. It had to have been. And it was so dramatic that Kyle kind of had a breakdown. He what's it called, PTSD, I guess. I think he kind of had like one of those episodes right there. And when this whole thing happened, again, we broke the rule again, and I sent two guys down the trail more around this hillside to try to push back whatever that thing was back towards us. So we shouldn't have done that. And during that time, while they're gone, I also realized that I forgot to give them a radio. So they're off doing their thing, two guys, and the only way I'm going to know if they're in trouble is if I hear a gunshot. So my head's kind of spinning at this moment, and then I have my other cameraman is going up a hillside. I'm pretty sure he put his camera down at this point. He pulled out he was like full-time AR at this point, going up a hillside, trying to circle around where the guys saw all this stuff happen. And Kyle and I are standing on a trail. I'm just kind of like chilling with him. And he says, "Do you see that?" And I was like, I look over to the trees, and this is in the direction of where the guys saw what they saw. And I was like, "No, what do you mean? What are you seeing?" And he's like, "Do you see that light?" And I'm like, "No, I didn't see it at first." And he said, "It's eye shine." Now, this is broad daylight, man. Like, this is like, probably 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I'd say.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, "It's eye shine." I'm like, I didn't see it at first, but then I saw it. And there was like this very bright. It was little, and it wasn't two. It was just one. So I personally don't think it was eye shine. I don't know what it was, but I don't think it was eye shine. But that's what he called it in the moment. But it was really bright. It was small but really bright. And the way I can describe it is, it was like if somebody was sitting in the tree, and it was only like 20, 30, 40 feet away from me. Like I literally walked over to the spot that it was at. And it looked like somebody could have been sitting in a tree and just had like one of those little bright LED flashlights, and they were just turning it on and off. And it would like be on for a few seconds, then it'd be off, and then it'd be gone, and then it'd come back. And I went over, and I'm standing like right at the spot we were seeing it, and I couldn't see anything, like nothing. This is like, again, broad daylight. There's no litter. There was nothing. There was no wind for anything to be twinkling. I have no idea what the cause of that was, or anything. It just it was really bizarre, but it happened at the exact spot that all this other activity was happening. So, long story short, we wound up going back at night to investigate this spot at night, where we hung stakes from trees and coyote urine and pretty much, dead coyote, or not dead coyote, like a dying coyote howl that we sounded off, trying to draw things in at this location, since the guys had so much activity. And it was a bizarre experience this whole week at this location. We spent a lot of time there. There was another point where we went to a whole other location and we hiked. Man, I can't tell you how, like, it was. I think I'd rather hike I think the spot that all the bizarre stuff was happening, I think it was like 2 or 3 miles into the woods. I think I'd rather hike that than the mile that I hiked up this one hill, rock faces, all this stuff. I mean, it was fun, but it was exhausting. And we get up to this one spot that Kyle used to hunt at, where it's like these huge boulder rocks, and we climbed on top of them. We're just kind of sitting there, and Joel is on the other side of this boulder, and then the rest of us are on the other side. And so I have this coyote howl that I referred to earlier, and I sounded it off a couple times, and I kid you not, man, like, we're sitting there, and I sounded off, and all of a sudden, it's like, whatever it was huge. It was huge, and it came busting through the woods. We didn't see anything, though. We just heard it, and we all, like, jerked our heads and looked and stared, and we never heard anything walk away. We never heard anything run away, nothing. It just, like, came busting through and just stopped. And we just stood there, or sat there staring, never saw anything. And then Joel texts Christian, and he says that he has knocking on his side. So Joel starts hearing knocking on his side. And a couple of times throughout this entire trip, we were in situations where it felt like we were being surrounded, like something was circling us, or a couple things were circling us. And I'm not a stranger to the idea that, I've heard stories of multiple dogmen coming in on people, and so that's something that I was a little nervous about. Not to mention the idea of Bigfoot or just mountain lion. Lots of things could be busting through the woods when you're sounding off dying coyote.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a little nerve-wracking in that situation. I'll tell you, the last day, Ward, the one cameraman, Ward, he had already had to go home, so he had left the night before. And so it was me, Joel, and Christian. We hiked into the location where we did our night investigation, and it was daylight. I think it was probably about noon, I'd say. And we're taking down our trail cams, and Joel and Christian were on the trail, kind of looking at the area that they saw all the crazy stuff happening a few days before, because they're the two that saw this happen right in front of their face. And I'd say I'm probably about 50 feet away, and I'm at a tree where I'm about to take a camera down. And when I'm facing the tree, like, I'm facing the tree, and then on the other side of the tree is the trail, and so, like, the woods are to my back. And so because I'm by myself, I was just, like, a little uneasy, and I just made a turn from starting from my left, and I just circled around to my right, just kind of glancing at the woods behind me. And it's one of those things where, like, you know how, like, you're kind of just, like, casually looking just to make sure you're good or whatever, like, you're not really focused on anything. Well, as I'm getting ready I'm basically getting to the point where I'm about to face the tree again, for a split second, and I don't know what to tell people what I saw, because I don't know what I saw. But my head's turning, and all of a sudden, just before I get to the point where I'm about to look at the camera again, for that split second, I swear I saw something that it was like, I have a hard time even saying it was a head, because I don't know what it was, but it was very big. It was like an ashy gray color, and it was moving up the hillside in the direction of all the activity we had. And I jerk my head back and look, and I don't see anything. And I didn't hear anything run away, nothing. I just for a split second saw something, looked back, and it's gone. I called the guys over, and Christian then gets his camera out and starts asking me what I saw, and Joel starts going over to investigate. And when he's pretty much over where I saw that whatever it was, me and Christian hear activity over there, and we tell Joel to stop, just wait and just stop. And we were listening, and again, we don't hear anything. So, like, the whole week was filled with a lot of bizarre, weird circumstances, situations that just kind of left you feeling like there was more to this area than what meets the eye. Like, if you're just going in there as, say, a hunter or a hiker, and you're just assuming, oh, these trees, this is a beautiful forest, there's more to it than that. And we experienced a lot of weird stuff. And some of the stuff was nerve-wracking. Like, so like I said, that spot where the gate was supposed to be open, where we could drive our trucks miles into the woods, the locations and stuff, that gate was closed. So we had to hike in, and that's fine during the day, right? But at night, like, that's nerve-wracking, man. like I got out of my truck. So, you know, there was at nighttime there was 4 of us: Joel, Christian, Ward, and me. So we went in one vehicle, kept it simple. We get out of my truck. It's nighttime. We're gearing up, getting the guns out, cameras out, lights out, all that stuff. And we're about to cross this gate that's closed. And when you cross this gate that's closed, you know from that point you have like 2 or 3 miles to hike in the pitch black Daniel Boone National Forest to get to the location where all this bizarre stuff is happening, to just spend your night there trying to draw it out. Like, it was it was just so nerve-wracking. And I was fortunate, though, that I had Joel leading the group up front, and he's very experienced with the artillery, and Ward was pulling the back, and he's also very experienced. And so I felt tucked in the middle, nice and safe, right? But it was one of those situations where I'll do it again in a heartbeat, but I don't think I'll ever not be scared doing it, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. And Tony, we've talked about this, me and you, off the air, but it's I wanted you to tell it in your own words, and I wanted you to come on the show, and you have some other encounters, some weird stuff that's happened to you, and that's what I want to do when you come on the show. I want you to give the audience there's one story in particular, I don't want to give it away, but you had something really weird happen to you, and I'd like you to come on the show, and we do for the podcast, for a Friday show, and record.
Yeah.
But this one here was, I'll tell you what. One of the reasons why I think they're metaphysical is because sometimes they appear to be physical, and then sometimes they don't. But I was going to do tonight, what I was going to do is I was going to do a contrast between the two. Here's something that happened to me that was not nearly as, it wasn't as crazy as all that. I mean, but it was. I went out to this place. It's here in Central Texas, and it's been dubbed the Dogman Church or Werewolf Church because it was a church where there was a well, and some dogman creatures came out of it. And I went out there with my old co-host, and I, and my wife had been out there with me, and I took my wife and her sister and my nephew. We all went out there, and they capped the well off. They literally put a metal covering over it. So when you bolt some metal over a well, I mean, obviously there's some reason why, you would need some sort of why couldn't you just cement it? Why do you need to put a big old cap over it? You know what I mean? It just seemed odd. But we were out there, and I needed to do number one, and I figured I'd just jump out right there, and my wife's like, no way. No way are we going to drop, So she's like, and so I said, all right. So I drove down the road, and I said, I can't hold it. I'm going to have to go. We were about 8 miles out from civilization or whatever. And I said, look, there's no way I'm driving. I'm going to get in 8 to 10 miles to use the bathroom. I'm just going to pull over. Let me use the bathroom. So I get out. I pull off of this county road. And as I start to do my business, which shouldn't take too long, we hear this crashing and breaking of like branches, trees. I don't know what it was. And it was, and I wish my wife was, she's taking inventory of a bunch of stuff right now in the next room, but I wish she was here right here. But because she was going to be, but then we had a bunch of work to do. But she could verify this, and she heard it, and she was like, "Get in the truck." And I'm like, "Okay, I'm not finished." And she goes, "You're gonna be finished if you don't get in the truck," because whatever that was large. And then we heard like a grunt, and I don't know if it was a Sasquatch or a Dogman or what it was. And then I heard one from the other side, and I thought, okay, now they're flanking me. And we just came from Werewolf Church, and so I jumped in the truck and we bailed, and she was shaking. Then she had a full-on panic attack, and when we finally got back into town, which is a town outside of Austin, I don't want to give the coordinates because people go out there and then I'll be in trouble for putting their whatever, because they're now using it as a church again.
Wow.
Yeah, so thus probably why they had to cap the well and do everything else. But it was originally a story I told on VC's show, and I did it because it was a guy that used to work for me who had a horrific experience there, and he told me and Scorpion and my nephew about it when we were all working together. And his girlfriend had talked him into telling us the story, And so we went out there, just me and my wife. That time it was just me and my wife, but I had been out there with several other people, and always something weird happens. And whatever was out there. When I was getting in the vehicle, I smelled like something kind of like rotting mixed with like urine. And I'm not talking about my urine. I'm talking about like, something weird. And my wife smelled it. She heard the noise. It was, hey, Nellie. She's in the next room. You know what I'm talking about? Do you remember that incident? Are you not listening to when we were out there at the Werewolf Church? Do you remember me going and having to relieve myself? Yeah. And she was, and then you ended up. Well, here, say it a little bit louder so people can hear you.
I heard the trees moving unnaturally. That's what unnerved me.
Yeah, and then it sounded like not only was there movement, but then like a crunching noise, and then we heard that weird, and so she was like, "Get in the tree," And by the time we got back into town, she was having a full-blown panic attack, and she couldn't breathe. And she felt like something was squeezing her throat, and I was just like, what? And I prayed. I started praying. I was like, God, please help us, because I didn't know what to do. I was just, and so that was the last time I went out there. Now, I drove by there one time with Scorpion, and he's all like, hey, let's get out. And I'm like, and take a couple pictures for the show, right? It was me. I think it was me, him, and Tony. And not you, Tony, but my godson. And then we all just said, nah, because it was getting dark and nobody wanted to get out and do it. So, and there's nothing else around there but that church. That's it. And so we decided, we took off. We're like, we're not going to do this. And so we left, because every time we go there, something crazy happens. And is it metaphysical? I don't know. I didn't see anything, though. And I had a flashlight on me at all times. I have really powerful stream lights. And so I even have an account with I buy flashlights from them all the time. So I have one on me from my business, and it's a very powerful, 1,000 lumens, whatever, 1,200. I didn't see anything, but I did see branches and things move, which really was weird. Like, so whatever it was like invisible, if that makes any sense. And so I got in the vehicle and I took off, but I think that they move in and out of visibility.
So. All right, so let me tell you, the main event of the documentary that I really I don't want to spoil it, right? But I will tell you, really, really crazy things happened that were witnessed, but there was definitely an invisibility factor to it, and I bring that up because, so when you talked to my show about the idea of metaphysical Dogman, I had from that point on, I had so many things popping up that pointed towards the idea that Dogman being something that's physical and not physical at the same time. Different stories coming my way. A friend of mine talking about how he was interviewing a woman that was basically part of a school of mystery, and she was talking about how they were learning to open up portals. And one of the things that she saw come through a portal was an upright walking dog. So, like, there's these things of this idea of the metaphysical coming from another dimension, parallel universe, however you want to say it. And I'll tell you, this literally just happened this week. It happened this week, and I don't know what to say it was. I don't know what to call it or anything like that. But I'll tell you, my wife was there with me. She witnessed it. We both experienced the same exact thing. The idea of Dogman being metaphysical, if you want to go down that road of it being metaphysical, then it's not a stretch to say that maybe at the very least giving it attention might cause it to come.
Mm-hmm.
Looking, whether you're out in the woods looking for it or for whatever reason, whatever you're doing, giving it an attention, could you summon it? Well, if it's metaphysical, I would say that it's not out of the realm of possibility. Is it possible? Not possible? I don't know. But I would say that I would definitely give it some credence. Now, this week, I had not, so we're dropping the VIP for the VIP premiere this Friday. I had not seen the documentary until 2 days ago. All right, so the guys that shot video, all that stuff, they put it all together out of my hands. Best for that because that's not my gig. I got the documentary, and the same time I got the documentary, I got a picture in a group chat of a very strange trail cam picture of a dog. And this dog, the owner of the camera said he had multiple shots, and the way he estimates it, he estimated that from the ground to the shoulder, it was about 40 inches. And I mean, that's huge. And the way this thing looked, the back, like it looked like it had a mane, and
Mm-hmm.
its hair was completely gray and very, very short all over its body except for its chest into its neck. It had like this reddish brown mane looking thing, and it's very clear. I'll send you the picture. So I got that at the same time I got my documentary, and me and my wife were upstairs. It's probably like 10, 11 o'clock at night. We're in the kitchen talking, and my cat, and I only have a cat, I don't have a dog. My cat is sitting in the kitchen in front of us still. So it's not her. But we both experienced at the same time something. All right, so in my house, downstairs, where the living room is, the kitchen, hardwood floor. My stairs and upstairs is carpet. We heard something walking on the hardwood floor that sounded like a dog's nails clacking on the hardwood floor, but we also felt thudding with the walking, like it was something very heavy. And we both stopped and just like stared and listened because we both heard it, and we both described the same exact thing to each other. And that happened this week. And I said to her, I said, do you think that if this thing is like metaphysical on a paranormal level like that, do you think that just giving it too much attention could pull it in? Because like this is Dogman week for me, you know what I mean? Like I'm talking about it with you now. I got that picture. I got the documentary dropping for the VIPs this week. Like so much attention to it. Could I have summoned it or something like that unintentionally? I don't know. But that happened this week in my house, and it was really weird. So that was 2 nights ago. Last night, I was down here late at night working in the studio, which is in my basement, and it was probably about 11 o'clock at night, and I texted my wife, and I said, can you come down here and sit with me? Because I was scared. I was scared.
It is a creepy subject, man. I'm telling you, Tony, when you look into the abyss looks back into you.
Yeah, I don't like it, though. Like I like talking to people about their experiences, and I like it happening to them, but not me, you know?
Yeah, everybody was always like, why don't you go out to Hernandez Ranch? Because I don't want to die. That's why. I'd rather not, you know? I mean, it's,
Yeah.
The Skinwalker Ranch thing started with a big giant wolf, and then they had that werewolf-looking creature up in the tree, and all kinds of weird things happened. And of course, there's a place out here known as that's not the real name, but I call it Hernandez Ranch. Guys we worked with, and they have a lot of stuff going on. And when I was going on to that other show and telling the stories, I couldn't tell the whole scope of what was going on because he wanted only the physical aspect of it, which doesn't tell the whole story. But now I'm gearing up toward the end of this month. I'm going to be releasing the third episode of the Hernandez Ranch investigation involving this person, Jerry, and his family's experiences and what they went through. And some of the stuff that happened to them is pretty crazy. And it is very metaphysical because it's like it can manifest as physical completely, but it can also become not physical. I mean, I guess that's the only way I can describe it. I mean, one of our listeners here, Titan, asked a question way back here. He says, Josh, does Tony think that they may have encountered or been near a portal? What do you think of that?
I'm assuming he means in the Daniel Boone.
Yeah.
That's definitely something that was brought up in conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And I can tell you, having watched the documentary 2 days ago, that conversation didn't make it to the documentary. But it was definitely something that came up in conversation because one of the things that we did – so here's the thing. I mean, you're shooting documentary a whole week of filming, and you put out an hour and 10 minutes of a documentary. So a lot of things get cut, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the entire week – we were having these conversations, these theories about what is this thing and how could it exist, and Ward comes in with the mindset of it being much more of a cultic paranormal angle. He talked to me and the guys about how in the occult, I guess and I'm probably gonna butcher this, so if anybody knows better than I do, I apologize if I'm butchering this, but he told us about how in the occult they'll do these rituals to become a creature, and one of the things that they'll do is they'll like I guess do a ritual while they're wearing like the skin of a wolf,
mm-hmm.
and trying to become the creature. And he presented this theory because we all kind of have our different ideas and perspectives and how we view things. He said that what if what people are experiencing is something along those lines where they're coming across somebody that is doing that kind of stuff. Now in Kentucky, the occult is apparently pretty popular.
Yeah, granny witches, believe me.
Yeah. So like he said, what if like when you come across somebody doing that, what you like almost I guess you come under that spell. And what your mind sees is this gigantic
Okay.
wolf.
All right. Hold on. Something just touched something. Oh my God. I'm not joking.
I can hear you.
Yeah. I felt like something just touched my neck, my arm and my neck.
Oh.
I'm not joking.
All right. So let's talk about
that was really weird. That's not happened to me before. Okay. All right. Every time we get together, Tony, something weird happens to my gosh. I'm on the air live and something just rubbed against my arm or something, dude. I'm not joking, man. I am not kidding. Nellie? I don't know. Come, maybe she could sit over here or something. I'm sorry, folks. I'm not joking around, but I felt like something just, when you were talking, Tony, something just kind of touched my arm, my neck, and then the light went off. These lights, I don't know what, we've tried to figure, I don't know.
That happened last time I talked to you.
Yeah.
The lights were all acting up.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't know what's going on here, but I just literally felt like something just touched my arm and my shoulder. I'm not joking. That has not happened to me before. I've had seen stuff, but not that.
Call me in here with the ghost.
Well, that way it'll go to you.
Oh, thanks.
Okay. All right. Sorry for interrupting you there. I was just like, that was really weird. That was weird. I felt like something was moving up my arm for a minute there. Like I literally felt like it kind of felt like some pressure, and then like something grabbed me or something. Be interesting to go back and see if anything moved my hoodie here. Anyways, sorry for that. That was really weird.
That's fine. What people should do, though, because I think on YouTube you can actually flip back on a live right now. People should flip back real quick and see if they can see anything and report in the chat.
Somebody said Tony is summoning ghosts. Tony brought the ghosts with him, dude.
I'm over here being Team Jesus. Like, I'm not trying to summon things,
Dude. Okay, all right. Well, that's really weird. So, yeah, so we're talking about, folks, what we're talking about is paranormal, physical, metaphysical Dogman. Yeah, and so I've had several people tell me, one of my friends, and everybody knows this guy, Ken Gerhardt, he's a good friend of mine. he is a very physical, grounded in the physical cryptid researcher when it comes to Bigfoot. But Dogman, he absolutely believes that it is. Yeah, it keeps doing that, and he absolutely believes that it is metaphysical. And he's had his own weird experiences with stuff that he's told me about, and so. But he is very, like, he believes in energy and the spirit and all that, but he doesn't really believe it when it comes to Bigfoot. But with Dogman, he does. I think it's both with both of them. And I was going to do a contrast tonight and kind of say, look, these stories, I got stories that seem to be completely physical, one out of North Carolina. And then I have one that it seems to be completely metaphysical, and it was out of Denver, Colorado. And I don't know if I'm going to have time to do that tonight, but I just was like, this is, there are two sides to this. But one of my colleagues, I've said this before, Linda Godfrey, she's told me many times that she started out believing they were completely physical, and by the time she quit writing, it was metaphysical. And there are people who are just absolutely going to argue and fuss and fight with me that these things are a physical, undiscovered species of creature. I don't believe that. I've never believed that, but I've never attacked people for believing that. But some people will absolutely just attack you. I had this one woman message me, and she says, what'd she say? That my viewpoint on this is swaying people and causing us to all look like idiots. And I'm like, to the average person, we already do look kind of weird because we're out here talking about all this stuff,
That's what I'm saying, man. Like, I think it's hilarious when people say that stuff. It's like, you realize most people don't even fathom the idea of having a conversation about this stuff. Like the mere fact that you talk about this means you're weird.
Yeah, exactly. She's like, you're making us look like idiots. Like, we don't already look that way to the average people. When people start talking about my show, I'll be like, oh, paranormal. And they're like, what do you talk about the most? And I'm like, Dogman. What is that? Dogman. Like, and you're like, okay, let me explain to you what that is. It's not as weird as it sounds. It's actually a giant werewolf. And they're like, uh-huh. And then they look at you like you're from another planet.
So if people listen to my show, they probably are familiar with the idea that I'm very I got issues with the American Christian culture in the church, right? So like I have my beef with how everything's structured, and I say that because me and my wife, we finally found a church where we're like, yes, this is what we can call home, church home, right? And it turns out that it can't be church home because we're moving from Pennsylvania to Tennessee. And my son and this just happened a couple weeks ago, and my son was in a children's church, and I went to go pick him up, and the director of the kids' church stuff came over to me, introduced herself to me, and asked, how to spell his name and all that stuff for the kids' directory. And I told her, I said, we can do that, but I said, we're moving to Tennessee, so, we're not going to be here after mid-April. And she's like, oh, okay, is work taking you down there? And I was like, no, I work for myself from home. And she's like, oh, what do you do? And I was like, I'm a podcaster. And because like I don't care about telling people that stuff, but it's like, I know what the next question's going to be,
What's it about?
Church, right? And so she's like, oh, what do you talk about? And I was like, and there's like this weird awkward pause. I was like, I talk about supernatural, paranormal stuff, and people tell me what they experienced, and we talk about it. And she goes, oh. She's like, oh, okay, that's different, And I'm just like, don't judge me.
Well, and the Bible is full of supernatural and paranormal, but people don't look at it that way.
Yeah, that's the thing that drives me nuts, man. It drives me freaking nuts.
Yeah, we've talked about that.
Yeah, like if you I don't know, like, I would never do this because it's rude, right? But if you stood up during a Sunday service, right, and you're like, Pastor, please, I just gotta tell you and the church because this is amazing. Last night it was about midnight, and I had some friends over. We were having a good time, and I look over, and we all saw this. There was a hand that just appeared out of nowhere and started writing on the wall in an unknown language.
Yeah.
Like, they'd be like, what?
Yeah.
But that's in the Bible.
But that's
right?
in the Bible because the writing on the wall, that was, yeah. Was it?
Like, yeah, exactly. Like, yeah. I was walking down the road, and and this donkey started talking to me. They'd put you in an institution, you know? Like, it's just like, it's so funny because like you like I can say, you know, this is what I do and stuff, and they look at you like you have 10 heads. I'm like, but do you read your own Bible? Like, if I came and said to them, I was like, hey, listen, I got this crew of guys that I call my army, and they're not the normal dudes because they have superhuman strength. Well, people would be like, you're crazy. But the fact is, there's this thing called David's Mighty Men in the Bible, hardly ever talked about, but he had a crew of dudes, like a couple hundred people, and these dudes were bad dudes. Like, people heard about Samson, you know, taking out 1,000 soldiers with the jawbone of a donkey.
Yeah.
These dudes were like Samson times 10, and there was many of them, and they were called David's Mighty Men. Like it's just, the Bible's filled with awesome stuff, and, you know, the sad thing is, the people who are supposed to believe it, they're the ones that really don't believe it, you know? Anyways, I'm off. Hey, I just stepped off my soapbox. I'm back to the.
No, Tony, you go. You do what you got to do. And when we talk, we talk. And folks, this is how me and Tony talk. Anyway, so, like, we have conversations. The first conversation me and Tony had, I'll never forget. I was sitting post, and I was at a post called Maravilla, and I'll never forget. And Tony and me talked for 4 hours.
Yep.
And then I was like, oh, I'm off work now. So, you know, so it just kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can, you know.
I rolled over and I said, good morning. You know?
Your wife's like, you're still on the phone? But
he's like, I swear it's not a girlfriend.
It's like, what's his name from Jake from State Farm? What's he wearing? I don't know, a security uniform? What are you wearing, Jake from State Farm? My badge and my shirt. All right, Tony, well, I'm going to hit it, man. I'm going to let you run, man, because we have got to get together. We got to record. We got to get that one encounter that I don't even want to tell anybody about. I want to keep that a secret so you can tell me on the show about what happened to you, and we can go into all this other stuff for the podcast, man. Does that sound like a deal?
Of course. Of course.
Yeah. So, everybody, Tony Merkel, good friend of mine, great show. Go check out the confessionals. People ask me all the time, they're like, aren't you, because somebody asked me recently about Lyle Blackburn starting a podcast, and like, aren't you worried about the competition? I'm like, no.
Oh.
Like, you don't have time to listen to more than one show a week or what? If you don't have that kind of time, you might want to clear your schedule, dude. I mean,
hey,
geez.
Listen, before I get out of here, I got to say, people who get competitive in this field, they don't get it, man. They don't get it. Like, there's enough time in a week for everybody to listen to all the shows, and a rising tide raises all ships. So, like, when Paranormal Round Table is going to the moon, hey, listen, if I'm connected to you, I'm going with you. And if I'm going to the moon, you're connected to me, you're going with me. That's the way this works, you know? And so the idea of the selfishness where, you know, you're competing with one another, if you get in that mindset, you're already losing.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. And that was the reason why I hitched my wagon with Lyle Blackburn in the first place. And Lyle and me talked extensively, and I kept telling him, look, writing books is great, but doing podcasts is better, man, and then you can do your books or whatever. And so he's, you know, he thought about it, and he's like, you know what, I'm going to do that. And so he's got his own thing coming out, and it's going to be different than what you do, and yours is different from what I do. And but we're all in this together. We're all trying to find the truth and trying to get to the bottom of this weirdness that we call life.
I'll tell you, man, listen, because I talk to a lot of different podcasters and stuff, people just starting out and stuff, and I tell everybody when this conversation, the topic of conversation comes up, I tell everybody the same thing. Listen, if by me hanging out and socializing with Josh Turner makes me lose audience, it tells me one thing: I suck and I need to be better. That's it. Yeah. Like there's no reason for me to be selfish about it and act like, oh, Josh stole my audience. Hey, the only way that's possible is if I'm really bad and I don't deserve the audience I have. Yeah. So just be better, you know?
Yeah. My friend David Weatherly told me the other day, we were talking, he's a fun guy to talk to. He makes me laugh, and we talk like, you know, you and I, and he said, he goes, just because you can do it doesn't mean you should. He goes, there's a lot of people out there doing podcasts that really shouldn't be doing them, you know? Yeah. And then there's a handful of them that should be, you know. I think you and Wes have nailed it, you know. I think y'all are doing a good job, and I think there's a lot of other guys out there too, but, you know, you're definitely top notch, Tony, and I'm glad you came on the show tonight. And we are going to record together, and we're going to drop some for the podcast. And go and listen to Tony's show, The Confessionals. I highly recommend it. I've been on his show. back in October, Metaphysical Dogman.
Yeah, and just a reminder to everybody listening, the Expedition Dogman documentary is coming out. If you want to be one of the first people in the world to see it, you got to be a VIP member to Merkle.media. If you want to wait for the public premiere, that comes March 25th, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube.
Yep. All right, Tony, I'm going to run, man. We'll talk again.
Sounds good, man. Thanks a lot.
All right, thank you.
See you.
Bye-bye. So that was Tony Merkel. I wanted to tell everybody, I wanted to apologize to Vault publicly because Saturday I was supposed to go on his show. He had invited me to be the first guest on his show on the new Dogman cams, which is called, I don't want to butcher this. Can't remember the name of it. Just want to make sure we get it right. But I had to help my sister move, and I literally have huge bruises on my arms from moving a refrigerator. Hey, Jay, I wanted to publicly apologize to you about not being able to come on Saturday. I was beat, dude, and I slept all day Sunday because I moved. My sister had to move, and I never realized
Dude, that's okay.
how much stuff she had. So, hey, give us the rundown from what happened. I don't have a lot of time, but I would like to get you to say on the air about your the deal you got going on. Now, we have our second part of our show coming out on Friday with me and Vault, but give them the name of your what it used to be Dogman Cams. What's it called now?
It's called Nightmare Nation TV.
Nightmare Nation TV.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I was out there Saturday night live, and I think for the first time ever, I actually got hit with infrasound out there.
Wow.
Because, and I think I'm able to prove now that these Squatches, real life ones, can mess with electrical stuff with infrasound because when I went out, I actually physically saw one. I actually got a hair sample from the one that I saw because it was over by pine trees. The next day I went out there during the light and found it. Well, when I saw that one, it immediately kind of like disappeared. And I'm like, where the heck did this go? And it was like 40 yards away from me. So I moved a little closer and was scanning with my light and just noticed it. It was a little dirt berm there about 16 inches tall. And it had laid flat down, and I could barely see its head coming up over the top of that dirt berm as I shined. Well, another one started coming into my right, and there was a camera over there in the woods. And I'm trying, I had Sean from Chasing the Truth. I had him running the cameras. And I went to do a horseshoe to get it to come back over in front of that camera to follow me.
Mm-hmm.
And as we start getting in front of the camera, I tell Sean, go to the camera in the woods. And all the hair, I told him, and I didn't realize I was talking like I am now. I had to go back and watch it. But I told him, I said, man, all the hairs on my neck just stood up. And then he couldn't access the camera. I could see the infrared lights on the camera, but he couldn't get into it. It was like it was not there anymore. It was resetting itself constantly.
Did you use the shofar horn or the show horn as we call it?
Yes, sir. That was playing on a loop track along with several others. That's the other thing. Every time that we had a certain sound, which was one of the Sierra sounds, play, this thing would answer. It would do this weird squeaky it sounded like he was trying to imitate some other animal, but it just wasn't right. And every time, it would only do it when this would fire off.
Wow.
And the other thing is, it didn't just affect one camera. When I was trying to get it on that camera in the woods, and then I started doing stuff I didn't notice until I went back and watched. I started doing stuff I'm saying what I'm trying to do, but I'm not doing it. Mm-hmm. Like I was trying to get back over in front of that camera. That way, if it tried to come out, did anything, it was going to be on that camera. Well, instead of me going to the camera, like I say I'm doing, I wind back up out in the field in front of the other cameras. And as soon as we stepped back out, I said, look, I can hear it coming. The cameras that I'm standing in front of go out.
Wow.
And the next day, about lunchtime was when I didn't feel good the rest of that night. And then the next day, it just, as the day went progressively on, You ever been so tired you go to sleep you can't wake up?
Yeah, that's what happened to me on Sunday. I was so
Well,
tired.
Sunday after going out there looking around, I just kept getting. I was going to do a show, but I kept just feeling worse and worse. And I've been sick before, and I said I got a heart condition. I didn't feel like none of that, but it was like I was just totally drained. I went to sleep at about 3:00 Sunday evening, and I didn't wake back up again until Monday about lunch. And that is, you can ask anybody that knows me or talks to me, that's past unusual. About 3 to 4 hours a night is all I ever sleep. And my family was trying to wake me up. I just couldn't wake up. I don't understand. I think I got hit with infrasound out there that night because the cameras were messing up. They were fine before. As soon as we started having activity come up and play any sounds, and as soon as I said I feel the hairs on my back, it was like I walked into a static electricity charge.
Wow.
All the cameras messed up. They kept messing up till I came back inside and just stopped messing around out there. All the cameras mysteriously started working fine again. These cameras are not wireless. They're all wired in straight from the camera into a box that goes straight into the net that goes out. So there's no way, electrically anything should have messed with them. They hadn't messed up since before or since then. Only when that happened.
Well, Vault, I'm gonna run. I got to get going here, but everybody go check out Vault's channel and
I'm going to do a live stream here. I was waiting for you to finish.
Yeah.
When you get finished about 10 minutes. In about 10 minutes, I'm going to be up and live.
you guys can
Y'all
go.
going over.
Yeah, go on over to Vault's channel, Vault of Nightmares, and also what is it again? Nightmare Nation TV.
Yes, sir. That right there is the what I'm like I said. You have to join that. I'll talk about it over on the show if everybody wants to come over and listen. And like I said, we're trying to build members because I'm fixing to start the paranormal side of things. I don't know how else to do it.
Yeah.
I just picked up a EMF detector, and I'm waiting on a tri-field meter to come in.
And do me a favor, get Bass and Truth to get in touch with me. I need to get their story so I can get them.
I will.
I appreciate it.
Bass and Truth will probably be over on the channel here in a little bit.
Yeah. All right, guys. I'll see you.
Appreciate it.
All right, Vault. Bye. So, guys, that's Vault. I just wanted to publicly say because I couldn't make it Saturday. I was so beat, literally beat. My arms were like, I mean, I don't want to brag because I was like, oh, he's always bragging about how strong he is. Well, I am pretty damn strong, and I had to lift the refrigerator. Sorry. I'm not one of those people on the strongman contest that throw pianos filled with molten lead up 7 stories up into a building. Why? Because I don't think they need to be up there. I think they're fine where they're at. But if you are that strong, more power to you. I did train a friend of mine. We call him Bane, and he was a strongman competitor. I've trained tough men competitors. I've done a lot of strength training for people. But anyway, this refrigerator gave me all I could handle. And I'm 46 years old, folks, okay? I might look sprightly and young and fresh, but I'm actually 46 years old. I wanted to answer a few questions. We're running out of time because I got to go, but I wanted to get into some things here. As people had said, I want to thank Anthony KC. Thank you for your donation. Corley Cantor, thank you for your donation. Adam Jinks, thank you for your donation. And Coop King, thank you so much for your donation. I appreciate all of you. Thank you, everyone that donated. We really needed it tonight. We needed the help. Taxes coming up, and like me and Tony were talking about things we got to do. Mike Turner says, yeah, that sounds like what Brenton Solomon always talked about from a biblical worldview. These beasts are demonstrating angelic abilities. Absolutely, Mike. Mike, you've been a listener for a long time. You know, all my paratroopers, you guys are the elite. And I'm not talking about the elite that are pulling the strings and playing God. We are the elite because you have a mental, spiritual, physical capacity to grasp and understand what I'm telling you. You were here, you're listening, you're paying attention, you're listening to the Friday, the Tuesday, you're getting it. You're learning from different perspectives from the different people that I correspond with. I have a large network of people that I deal with that I feel like need to be brought to you. That's why I brought Paul Wallace in and Paul Sinclair, and that's why I deal with the people I deal with, like Linda Godfrey and Barton Nunley. Barton, very good friend of mine. Me and Barton are thick as thieves. Me and Lyle Blackburn, we're friends. He actually played here in Austin on Sunday night. I didn't get to go. I just was so tired. Sunday, all I did was sleep. And I apologize to Lyle because I really wanted to go to his show. And I know that a couple of my friends ended up going, but I couldn't get out of bed Sunday. I was so tired. I was so tired. And, so, I try to bring you the best of people, getting them in here to talk about these things. There's so much more I'd like to talk about, and we're going to save it because we got a lot of meat on the bone. I'm gonna talk to you guys next week. We're gonna do another Dogman. We're gonna talk about the Dogman in Denver and the Dogman in North Carolina. There's two different ones. One completely metaphysical in my opinion. The other one doesn't give anything but like a physical. Yeah, and you tell me. I've even had that happen with Goatman too. Like you can't tell whether it's physical, metaphysical, Bigfoot, same thing. Sometimes I'm thinking, man, I think I got it nailed. I think this is what we're dealing with. And then when you go and then they tell you something else that kind of changes it, and you really just can't get a bead on it, and it's so hard to do this. Guys, we got to do the giveaways here. I'm going to ask my wife, Nellie. And I'm going to be recording with Brian Bowden next Tuesday. So I'm going to be, if anybody knows Brian Bowden, he's a big New Jersey Devil guy, researcher. He's done all kinds of stuff, but he's a great one to talk to. Bettina Moss, Tony Merkel, Steve Stockton. These are all people I've got slated to be coming and doing shows with me for the Friday podcast. And then of course they've been on the show, on the Redfern was going to show up, but thank goodness that he had something else going on because I wasn't going to have time. Curtis, you missed Tony Merkel, man. So you got to go back and listen to the whole episode. It says, just because this is the greatest show, in my opinion, nice to see we both have the same hoodie, Josh. I love all my paratroopers. Thank you, Curtis. No relation, but I wish we were. Nellie, what do we have as far as hoodies? Because I want to do a hoodie giveaway. We're going to do a hoodie giveaway. So if Ken Mullins and James Estrada, if you guys could pick somebody. Now, I can't do the giveaways for people outside of the United States. Shipping to Canada, which I've done a little bit of lately, costs me anywhere from $80 to $100. Trying to go to Ireland or the UK is $200. Australia, $200 to $300. Same thing with New Zealand. I've done it, but it's just so much right now, dude. I mean, and with inflation, it's just really, I wish I could. We do, and this is what I'm gonna. So this is what I'm gonna do. Because if you guys are from international, I'll give you my word on this. Okay. If you guys win a hoodie and you are from, anywhere, like if you're from England or Germany or Japan or whatever, because I have listeners in Hong Kong, even a couple of my listeners, and you're international, which means you're not in the United States for us, this is what I'm going to do for you. If you have a PayPal, now you have to have a PayPal for this. Eric Garcia, thank you for that donation. It says, good show, Wolf. Thank you. Appreciate it. I'm going to give you the money to buy a hoodie off of our store. Okay? So we can save on the shipping. I'm just going to buy you a hoodie. Okay? I will literally put the money in your account and then you can buy the hoodie. Okay? How's that? So if they pick you, doesn't mean you're not going to lose. You're like, oh man, I'm from Ireland or whatever, because one of the guys from last week, he was from Ireland. I felt terrible about it. And if you're listening, sir, I'm going to buy you a hoodie. Okay, I'm not joking. I care about my listeners, and I'm gonna. That's what the donations do. They keep the show going, and then the machine keeps running, turning, whatever. So Nelly is going to give me. Let me see the list real quick, honey. You took the inventory earlier, and I'm so proud of you. Thank you so much. I was in here being grabbed by some kind of something. I'm not joking, man. I don't want to be in here by myself. Thirsty ghost. He's like, I need water. No, not that kind. Okay, never mind. Get out of here. All right, so we have a pretty good inventory here.
Oh, I made that up. The next page is I'm kidding. That's it.
Oh, okay. So you're talking trash. Okay, so we got 15 of the. Okay, so if you're a small, is that what is that? That's only for the shirts, right? So we don't have any smalls. We have some medium hoodies and some larges, and we got some extra larges, some 2XLs. We had everything. Yeah. Cool. So here's what we're going to do. James, pick somebody, and then Elastic, you pick somebody too. I know, it's hard. Thank you for the prayers, Maury. I appreciate it. That was quite odd, to say the least. Something touching me in my arm while I'm live. I wasn't joking around about that, man. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking about the audience. You know I don't make, Okay, so Corley Cantor. Ken has picked you. You got a pen? Rethink says, do you have size back? I don't know, man. What size is that?
Size what?
He said size. No. Corley, and what you're going to have to do is get in touch with me either on Facebook or for friends on Facebook. That's the easiest way, is through Messenger. If not, then hit me up on my email address. And so I need James. Who are you going to pick with? He said he's going to go with 39 Sean Man tonight. So Sean Man, I know that's not 39 Sean Man. It's probably not your real name. So your birth name, but hit me up on Messenger or email address. And why is that so He's like, actually, my mother was a hippie. She did actually name me that. This is my sister, Star Child. His name is not 39 Sean Man, but if it is, I'm gonna take a chance here and go with play the odds. Okay, just like you play the odds though when you get in the ocean, you're playing the odds that you're not gonna get attacked, but you might. Probably not your real name. So those two are the winners for tonight. We're gonna send you a hoodie. If you're in a place that is cold enough for it, if you're living in the South. If you're in the southern Alabama and you don't think, hey, I'm not going to need a hoodie, it's about to get warmer and I really don't need one, then so be it. We'll just what is Jim Sapp saying? A creature from the Black Lagoon story? Actually, I do have a couple weird swamp creature type stories, but I'm trying to put those together for a show for Fridays. So those two people, hit me up. Okay, and if you're international, then we'll send you the money to buy a hoodie. That way, people from that are outside, listeners from outside the states, don't get screwed. Okay. And folks, I want everybody to understand that I do care about all my listeners, and I care about what everybody says and what everybody thinks. And I go back and I do read the comments in the chat. Because sometimes on the show I'm not able to read them and get them all, and so I do go back and I do read and I do appreciate everything everybody contributes and says. I don't try to leave anybody out. People get offended and hurt when they think I'm ignoring them or I'm not, I try not to do that. And there were so many good comments on here, and I wish I could go back and read them all. Martin says, I heard there would be punch and pie. Well, Martin Hertel, he said there would be punch and pie. Martin, if you bring it and you sit down in front of your television and you watch me, you'll have punch and pie. You have my word on it. Unless some otherworldly spirit grabs it and takes it from you. You can pretend.
Pretend punch and pie.
I am a generous God. I, of the silly Dogman encounters. Unlike the cruel Josh Turner that asks that you tell your story truthfully, I ask only that you give me ratings. Holly says, I really enjoy hearing Tony. Yeah, Tony's great. He's a great guy. I like talking to Tony. Any of those guys I talk to, it always ends up being a long conversation. We talk just, it's fun. And I like how nice everybody is in the chat. You know, they always congratulate the winners. Like, congratulations, you won, you know. And that's nice. The people are nice like that. Because if it was me, I'd be like, whatever, dude. You win? All right, you know what? I'm just kidding. I wouldn't do that. Don't do that. All right, folks, so I'm going to sign off. It's nice that we're signing off. You know, it's unfortunate we have almost 400 people in the chat, but I got to run. I should get a run to the grocery store because everything closes early. Because, you know why. It attacks after 8 o'clock, so you got to get in there and get your stuff. Everybody's got to cram in at the same time. You got to go work out at the same time.
Totally convenient.
And you got to go and you got to cram into the Walmart and the grocery store at the same time. Because that's how you stop a pandemic, is by all going to the place at the same time. That's what I thought when it first started, was like, why don't we just be open between the hours of 7 p.m. and 8 p.m., and everyone can just stand in a long line and cough on each other, and we can all run in the store together like it's Black Friday every day for our groceries. And that will end this quickly. It's not going to drag it out. That's my opinion. That's what I thought. All right, guys. Yeah, it's common sense, but it's in short supply, believe me. But you know what's not in short supply in a city that's defunded their police? Crime. Yeah. You know, got people that like to smoke cigarettes because they like caffeine, and there's other people that like coffee and they like the, you know, they like the nicotine, they like coffee, they like the caffeine and whatever. But you know what'll really grab you by the short and curlies? Heroin. That'll get you going. It's becoming a real problem. Drugs, yeah, they're all over the freaking place. It's everywhere. Last night, in fact, me and my wife, let me tell you, this is a scary story. It's not supernatural, but it probably will be for that guy if he keeps doing it. We were driving down Mopac, and we were probably going, 70 miles or whatever the speed limit is. I don't speed or break the law in any way. So I was going the exact speed limit. Well, this guy was coming in the other way, and he was probably going about 20 miles faster than me. So he was probably going 100 miles. Oh, wait, that would indicate that I was speeding. No, he was probably going 90. No, I was not. He was on our side of there's this cement divider between the north and the south. And we were heading north back up to our house. And this guy comes flying past us, going the wrong way. And he was in the that lane where you can't get out of. He was in the carpool lane. And there's these things there, and so he was going probably 90. And that lane is just one. I mean, you're talking like, man, this guy's going to have a head-on collision. And I hope nothing happened. I went home with the bed. But it was crazy. Like he was flying past us, and I was like, "Did you just see that?" My wife's like, "I just saw that." You know, somebody could be heading north, just driving, down the toll road on the carpool lane, whatever, and boom, you just out of nowhere, this guy hits you going 100 miles an hour. It's unreal. I couldn't. Yeah, Dorothy toll lane. Yeah, I couldn't believe it. And I was like, "Are you kidding me?" I mean, it wasn't that late. It was probably, midnight. I mean, oh man, oh my gosh, it's crazy. Your life could end in an instant. Folks, stay safe out there. I see Curtis Turner says, "Stay safe out there, big guy." You too. Everybody, stay safe. We love everybody. Congratulations to the winners, and we're going to get last week's people. We're going to get y'all stuff out too, trying to get it mailed out tomorrow. I just been so busy. Pray for me. I got things to do, taxes to pay. Anybody that lives in the area who wants a job, well, come hit me up because I need workers. All right, guys, I'm going to let you go. Good night.